Yo, what is up, guys? It's your girl Becks, and welcome back to the race rundown. Now, as you know, there is not a race this weekend. However, I am going to grace the airways with my voice once again. So, I just wanted to have a little bit of a natter with you guys this week and have an episode that I like to call F1 Unfiltered, which is going to be a working title for a start, and also just a short episode to just go over some of my thoughts, opinions, kind of like my unpopular opinions season on TikTok, but just in a light-hearted, funny way, for a way for you guys to know what goes on in my brain in the off season and on the weekends where we don't have races, and to just have a bit of a laugh. So, one of my things that has been in my brain recently is why all the F1 drivers have very similar haircuts. The only one that doesn't have a very similar haircut is Carlos. Like, you look at drivers back in the day and they all had different haircuts and it was all very, you know, they all had their own individual personal brands, whereas now they all just look very, very samey. Don't get me wrong, handsome as hell, but samey nonetheless. And then in terms of building personal brands and stuff like that, another thing I want to touch on is the relationship between the drivers and the social media teams for each team. Now, as a McLaren fan, I can't help but point out the fact that we are a very PR and social media friendly team. I would say we have one of the youngest fan bases for sure. And I think last weekend in Singapore was a hiccup from the old PR and social media team, and I'm about to elaborate for you. So, according to several reports, okay, we obviously all saw that Oscar pulled out the radio, didn't want to speak to Zach. There's been conflicting reports on both sides. Some reports are saying that it was a planned celebration on the podium and that Lando wasn't meant to be there. However, the team grabbed him and they all celebrated on the podium together after the fact. And obviously Oscar was down in the media pen. Some people were saying that Lando was meant to be there and that Oscar was meant to be there and they couldn't find him, so they just did it without him. Some people were saying that Lando shouldn't have been there. Either way, it didn't look good, did it? Let's be honest. Oscar's down in the media pen by himself. Lando is up there giving it large with all the lads. Now, as bad as that looks for the PR-friendly, social media-friendly McLaren, there's a little bit of truth behind it, and I want to elaborate, okay? Obviously, Oscar did his driver training with a different team, hasn't been there since a rookie, whereas Lando, he's been there since he was a rookie. He's put a lot of faith into this team. Some people may have questioned why he put so much faith into the team, however, it did pay off. And he's been around those people for a lot more years than Oscar. So, of course, everyone in the garage is going to know him. Everyone at the factory is going to know him. And they're probably going to lean a little bit more towards him anyway because of the fact that they've all known him for longer. So, yes, it does look really bad. However, for me, I think it just got blown out of proportion in terms of the media speculation surrounding it. I think it wasn't that deep. And everyone's just trying to make a bigger divide between Oscar and Lando than there actually is. I could be completely wrong. It could be complete elbows out for the next 6 races. We just don't know. But I think it wasn't made to look great at all. Because of the fact that, obviously, it just doesn't look great. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look great from a PR perspective. There's going to be lots of questions surrounding Oscar's future in the team if they keep pulling it the way that it is. And yeah. So, obviously we have a race next weekend in America at the Circuit of Americas. So we're all going to have the absolute joy of seeing Danica Patrick. Complete and utter sarcasm intended. And obviously it's a sprint race. Now, you guys know I don't watch sprint races. I don't like sprint races. I personally think that they are pointless and I will not be watching them. So I just want to pass a question off to you guys. Are sprint races ruining the Saturdays? Do people that have attended the races actually enjoy the sprint races? Is it a little bit of extra action that's enjoyable? I personally don't like them, and I just wanted to add that in there and just, yeah. Now we're on to the part of the podcast episode, thank God it's short because I could rant about this forever, where the FIA's penalty system is really starting to piss me off, and I don't fully understand how they think it works. It's almost like they just go, oh, Lewis did something bad, give him a penalty. Oh, Carlos did something bad, let's just give him a penalty. Even when it doesn't make sense. And then stuff that is clearly not a racing incident has no further action. It's almost like they just pick who they like on a racing weekend and just freaking throw it out. Ben Salem, or whatever his freaking name is going to get voted in with no contest again. And the FIA is just going downhill at this point. It's frustrating for the future of the sport, and honestly, I'm terrified. I just don't understand why there's penalties for freaking everything at this point. It's like, give it a rest, would ya? Let them race, for God's sake. There should be an FIA penalty for the team for bloody race orders, as far as I'm concerned. Papaya rules can literally suck my dick. I'm not even joking. It's just awful. And it's just... it just drives me crazy, and it ruins the result of the race, and it's just, yeah. The amount of post-race penalties that we've had is just, yeah. It's just weird to me, to be completely honest. And some of my slightly deeper thoughts in the middle of the night as well. Again, this is a very, very short episode because I just wanted to sort of let you in on my brain and the inner workings and kind of have a conversation with you guys about what it actually is to be in the F1 space at the moment, and just sort of how many thoughts and opinions I have on different things. And I don't know how to start this, but I personally feel like teams are spending more time building brands for the team and their social medias than they are focusing on the racing, and that kills me. So, like, obviously I know social media is important. Obviously I know obtaining a new market is important. Obviously I know marketing to people is important. However, like, is it taking away from the racing and the focus on the race that the drivers get every weekend? Like, if they're being dragged from pillar to post with sponsorship deal appearances and meeting fans and having VIP experiences and doing all these talks and all this stuff, they're not actually having time to focus on the race. And then all of a sudden they've got social media teams in their face making them do TikToks. Don't even get me started on the freaking Kick Sauber TikTok. Racing Bulls is even worse, to be honest. It's like, oh, they know they're not in for a chance with the championship, so let's just make some freaking memes and hope for the best. You know what I mean? It's just cringy and it's weird and it's just odd. I'm not a fan. I don't think I ever will be. And I like the videos when they come across my feed, but I can't help but think it's a little bit cringy. The same way that I think that Netflix is cringy. But then that also begs the question for a lot of the new fans, which obviously I've said in past episodes, I'm not offended by new fans. I think it's great. The more the merrier. Welcome in. Have a fun time while you're here. If you choose to stay, by all means, you're welcome. Hello. If you choose that F1's not your thing, that's okay too. That's okay too. But then it begs the question of, are these people only here for the drama? Or are they here for the races? Like, are they only here for the beefs between drivers? Or are they here for the actual racing and the technicality of it all and blah, blah, blah? Now, I know that every fan group always has a split of fans that are here because they had beef with someone, or fans that are here because they've been here for a long time and they enjoy certain things, especially sports, right? I think we're seeing it a lot with Taylor Swift and the NFL at the moment. Lots of fans are coming over from, obviously, the connection between Travis and Taylor, and lots of young girls and mothers are now watching the NFL because of the fact that Taylor Swift's heavily involved. And it's great, you know? People are finding the sport for the first time. They're sitting down with their husbands to watch the Super Bowl, and they're having fun with it. And that's great. But then a lot of what we like to call purists of it all will be like, oh, you're only here because of Taylor Swift. It's like, it almost adds like a negative label, if that makes sense. I mean, I've supported both the Raiders and the Chiefs, partly because the Chiefs were winning at the time, but also the Raiders because the Raiders were a semi-decent team. I supported both for a really long time, but obviously now when somebody goes, oh, who do you support in the NFL? And you turn to them and say the Chiefs, they're like, oh, you're only here because of Taylor Swift. So actually, no, I'm not. Like, I can't name you every single player on the field the same way I couldn't name you every single racing driver since 2001, but I can tell you that I enjoy watching them play. I enjoy watching Mahomes absolutely smashing it near enough all the time. I couldn't tell you every single player because I'm not interested enough to do that. However, I still have a genuine interest for the sport and how it's played. Just because you're bought in by, I don't know, a bit of drama you've seen or a TV show you've seen, or in the NFL's case, a pop star that ends up now being engaged to one of the players. It doesn't matter how you get into the sport, you're still a fan at the end of the day. You know, once you're here, you're still a fan at the end of the day. If you get in from drama, then that's okay. I think all of us, deep down in the F1 community, are all here for the drama. And I think the media know that. And that's why we had the 2021 of it all between Max and Lewis. And we had, you know, rivalries between so many drivers in the past. It's absolutely unreal. And I think they feed into that because obviously drama sells and headlines are great and blah, blah, blah. But who would be left if the drama disappears? That's just a thought process that I had over the last couple of days. Because I know a lot of people would, but there's some fans that would obviously drop off if that wasn't in the headlines. And that's okay too, because it's an inclusive space and we're all welcome here. And, you know, I just want everyone to be happy and everyone to enjoy the sport for what it is. So on that note, after a little bit of a rant this week, I say rant, it's more of a brain dump, as I would like to call it. Normally we do this on TikTok. However, I thought I would bring it to the actual pod. We haven't really had a lot of updates. Still no contract for Russell and Antonelli. So many drivers up at the end of this season. Love to know where they're going to go. Next, we have the unstoppable weekend at the Circuit of Americas. So Danica Patrick will be back. If you're not a Danica Patrick fan, avert your eyes. I am not the biggest fan of Danica Patrick. However, it should be a fun weekend nonetheless. It is also your girl's birthday this weekend. I'm very excited. As I mentioned last week, I have scheduled all of my birthday shenanigans around the F1, partly because it's in the evenings anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but also partly because I feel like if I was to stop an entire party just to watch F1, it's a bit sus. Don't get me wrong, I love the sport, I love it just as much as the next person, but telling everybody at a party, yo, stop, I've got to watch sprint qualifying, it's a bit much. It's a bit much. And practice starts at 6:30 anyway, so my party will have begun by then, so I can't just put practice on as much as I would love to. So on that note, it's been your girl Becks. I will see you next week for another episode of the Race Rundown. Have a good week and peace.